order the special meeting of Lakewood City Council on January 13th at 7:05 p.m. Happy New Year. To connect with the council meeting online, please use one of the following links at lakewoodspeaks.org or lakewood.org/council videos. For online public comments, you may post comments of any length on lakewoodspeaks.org, our online forum for public comments. We will be leaving that open overnight this evening and through 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Anyone who would like to address the city will be given the opportunity several times throughout tonight. We've got some ordinances that have public hearing, as well as our consent agenda and general public comment. If you desire to speak at public comment and have not signed up yet, the sign-up sheets are in the back corner of the room. And if we could please, will the clerk please call the roll?
Strom.
Here.
LeBure.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Mayakuru.
Here.
Charzai.
Here.
Sinks.
Here.
Cruz.
Here.
Lowe.
Here.
And Councilor Nystrom.
Here.
Thank you. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. For those who are able to stand, please do so for the Pledge of Allegiance. Once finished, we'll remain standing for a moment of silent prayer and reflection. That was a really cute little voice I heard. All members of the City Council have the responsibility to comply with the terms of Charter 7.2B and excuse themselves from voting on any matter in which they determine they have a personal, financial, or business interest. The City Council is empowered by Charter 7.2B to agree by unanimous vote, excluding the member at issue, to excuse any member of the council from voting on a matter in which they determine such member has a personal, financial, or business interest. Well, we have the pleasure this evening of kicking off the meeting with one of my favorite things. Tonight we have a proclamation. I'd like to send gratitude to Councilor Lowe for bringing this idea. We would like to celebrate 121 Day. Does anybody know 121 is right in our backyard? It's called Highway 121, AKA Wadsworth. So we are, yes, celebrating Wadsworth Boulevard this evening. And with that, we'll have Councilor Lowe will be reading our proclamation for us. And Sam and Katie, if you'll join me up here in front in the lectern. Sam and Katie Nicholson are both the owners of Old 121. For anyone that has frequented the brewery that is located at Wadsworth in Mississippi, they have, would you say, so they are the namesake, or Wadsworth, you're the namesake? I don't know, I get it all confused. Thank you. So wanted to welcome you all in as a part of that celebration for that very vital corridor. So I'll meet you up front, and Councilor Lowe, the floor is yours.
Welcome. So here's the proclamation for Lakewood 121 Day. Whereas State Highway 121, also known as Wadsworth Boulevard, is an over 30-mile-long corridor and a vital artery running through the heart of Jefferson County and the city of Lakewood. And whereas Wadsworth Boulevard was named 120 years ago for Benjamin Franklin Wadsworth, an original founder of Arvada, described by the Arvada Historical Society as a 19th century pioneer who, quote, led the pack in being environmentally conscious and who made it a priority to, quote, protect the land. And whereas Wadsworth is now home to dozens of Lakewood restaurants and small businesses, lining both sides of this Lakewood corridor, including Old 121 Brewhouse, which shares the highway's name. And whereas Wadsworth also runs adjacent to cherished parks in or adjacent to Lakewood, including Bear Creek Park, Belmar Park, and Crown Hill Park. And whereas Lakewood believes that January 21, or 121, is an ideal date to celebrate this vital Lakewood corridor and the local businesses, residences, and parks that line it, and an opportunity for Lakewood residents and residents across our region to frequent this corridor and visit Lakewood small businesses. Now, therefore, on behalf of the City Council and the people of the City of Lakewood, I, Wendy Strom, Mayor of the City of Lakewood, Colorado, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim January 21st, 2025 as Lakewood 121 Day.
Do you guys want to say a few words?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much for this proclamation. We inherited old 121 Brew House from the founders, Brett and Carla. Couldn't do this without them, and carrying on their legacy with 121 Day. So come celebrate 121 Day at the brewery January 21st. We'll see you there.
All right.
Thank you, Sam and Katie, for all of your work. You know, it's thriving businesses like yours that make our community so special. And, you know, many of us, I think, spend time getting stuck on Wadsworth at stoplights and grumble a little bit and don't realize what an economic hub it really is, an artery throughout our city. So thank you for being one of the small businesses that are here that give our residents opportunity to go enjoy some leisure time. All right. Next, we have a presentation on the beloved Colfax Marathon. And we've got, is Andrea here? Oh, yep, Andrea Dowdy, CEO of the Colfax Marathon, and Donna Upson, Vice President of Sales for Cigna.
Good evening. Well, this is it actually really is applicable, right? We just jumped from Wadsworth, now we're talking about Colfax. So, and Colfax, as we all know, is 26 miles long, and that is why there was a marathon actually brought up and created 19 years ago. So happy to be here. Who would have ever thought we'd be able to stand here today and say, wow, now we have 25,000 runners. So it's gotten huge over time. The key reason we can be here tonight, though, really is because Cigna Healthcare is our gracious title sponsor. So I just want to introduce Donna Upson, Vice President of Sales for Cigna, to say a few words tonight.
Thanks, Andrea. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I'm shorter.
Quite right. Like Andrea said, Donna Upson from Cigna. And at Cigna, our mission is to improve the vitality of those that we serve. So by partnering with the marathon, we just can't think of a better way to improve the vitality of those folks out there running. I mean, running 26 miles, don't you just feel better about yourself? and thankfully, there's a relay. And so I participate in the relay. I have many of my colleagues that do. We really encourage many of our clients to put together relay teams. So it's been a great partnership, and I thank you guys for having me tonight.
So we're here tonight really to thank people for their hard work as well as for running fast. We've got a combination of people tonight. First of all, I just want to thank the City of Lakewood and everyone here on the council tonight. You know, we are known now as being one of the most scenic routes in the country for a marathon, and a lot of it's because of these iconic elements that exist in Denver and in Lakewood. You know, when we step back and we think about Rocky Mountain College of Arts and Design, such a beautiful campus with all the art sculptures, Casa Bonita, Morse Park, the Glens, you know, and of course going down Colfax Avenue, both directions, being able to see the mountains and the city view are just spectacular, and just really, really proud that we're able to offer that. I also want to do a quick thanks to the Glens for a creative, you know, really accomplishment this year. They created something called the Quitters Corner. Did anybody know about the Quitters Corner? Anybody in the room? No. My understanding is if you are a runner and you decided maybe it was time to quit at mile 15 or 16, they would stop. They might offer you a light morning beverage and maybe even a ride home. So we really appreciate how much the City of Lakewood embraces us. It makes the difference, and we know how much work goes into it, so we're so thankful. I'd love to present a trophy to Mayor Strom for the City of Lakewood, and at the same time, I'd like to bring up Sergeant Ben Barefoot and thank Lakewood PD. It's amazing how many officers it takes to be able to put on a race and put on a race safely, and what they're able to do in terms of all of the dedication and work before the race, as well as during the race, being able to react and change and help us accomplish getting 25,000 runners move through all parts of a city is really amazing. So I'd like to bring up Sergeant Ben Barefoot as well. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Oh, Charlie's wrong.
I'm new here.
Thank you. So now we have people who've worked really, really hard, and then we have people who worked really, really hard on running fast. So just to give you an idea of how fast these folks have run, I just want to let you know that this is one of the top 25 marathon weekends in the U.S. in terms of size. So again, this is a huge, huge endeavor these folks are running in. It's the largest marathon relay in the country. There are 1,100 teams, and we're here to talk about the West Metro Fire Team, which is absolutely outstanding. Just a reminder that our prize pool works differently than many other races in the country. Our prize pool is about charity. So at the end of the day, these folks train hard, they practice hard, they run hard, and then they're giving back to the community. So I'd like to welcome up a number of folks from West Metro Fire tonight. First of all, Assistant Chief Steve Cornegay is here, Tyler Hecox, who put together the teams, and then the runners, of which we have several here tonight. I think we have Charles Hafner and Cody Bischoff and Ian Parker here, and Chip Darty and Jenna Lyman couldn't be with us tonight, but I'd like to invite them up so we can talk about how fast they ran. For those of the folks that are here tonight that are for West Metro Fire that didn't run this year, I did throw down the gauntlet and invited them to join a team, such as the Assistant Chief. So we'll see if he takes me up on it for next year, but we're not sure. But I'm kidding. But West Metro Fire, team number 2, finished in 3 hours, 14 minutes, and 24 seconds. And that earned them first place in our co-ed division for government teams, of which there were 100. So that's amazing, amazing accomplishment. And to recognize them, Dean Wall, and I don't know if Dean is here tonight. Oh, well, I knew he was here, but you would need to come up and join us, Dean. Dean, who used to work for West Metro Fire, was kind enough to create an additional trophy. He had created the brass nozzle years ago for firefighters, men's teams. Now he created one for firefighter co-ed teams, and this rotating trophy is called the brass coupler. I think I just named it. It's made out of parts of fire trucks from West Metro Fire from over the years, and is really awarded to the fastest co-ed team, Denver, Lakewood, and Aurora, for firefighters. So in order for them to run, they also have to pick a charity, and they have selected the Colorado Professional Firefighters to receive a $2,000 donation for their fast running. And I have to tell you one more fun fact before we do a round of applause. Over the years, West Metro Fire teams have actually won $12,000 for charity. So amazing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So many thanks. I don't know if your photographer's here because I have one more team to announce before we go, but I'll just announce it very quickly. They're not here tonight, but I also want to let you know that we have a public school teachers division, of which 15 schools win $1,000 for each of their schools by running quickly. And Prospect Valley Elementary hosted a team this year that placed second for women out of 161 teams, and they won money for their school. They're not here tonight, but I wanted to recognize them for being here with you in your city. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can we get a photo?
I think you did.
Oh, you did? Great. Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you for the amazing event through another very important corridor through Lakewood. And I don't know that there's a person in this room that doesn't want to send a huge shout out to a firefighter tonight. So thank you, all of you, for the work that you do, staying fit and across our city. Thank you so much, Andrea. I think I like these New Year's meetings. We get to start off with all kinds of fun. Now we transition over to a presentation for a very important day we call Love Lakewood Day. And for this presentation, we'll welcome up Trevor Wolfson from our neighborhood support team. He is our neighborhood support team coordinator, and I know you also have guests with you this evening, so we'll hand the floor over.
That's right. Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Trevor Wolfson with the city's neighborhood support team, as you said. And the next group of speakers will already be familiar to many of you, but I'd like to give a quick introduction of Serve Spot Lakewood, which is the lead organizer of Love Lakewood Day. Their annual citywide volunteer event, while not as famous as the Colfax Marathon, still has attracted many volunteers to projects across Lakewood. And as you will soon hear, Love Lakewood Day volunteers are making a long-lasting impact on their neighborhoods, schools, and the broader community. Presenting to City Council is a fantastic opportunity for them to raise awareness about this year's volunteer event in September. Additionally, we will hear from some of the young people here who have joined us, whose testimony will hopefully inspire others to partake in similar acts of community service. With that said, allow me to introduce one of the founding members of Serve Spot Lakewood, Reg Cox.
Mayor Strom and City Council, it's good to be with you guys here tonight. It's been I have been here several times over the years, and so it's exciting to talk to you again. My responsibility is to give you a super brief history of Serve Spot Lakewood and show you a few slides tonight. So back in 2014, Mayor Murphy blackmailed me or encouraged me to start a coalition that brought together all the different faith groups in Lakewood called the Lakewood Faith Coalition. In 2016, Mayor Paul added to that the Lakewood Service Organization Coalition, which blended together the Kiwanis and the Rotary and all the different service clubs, and also the Coalition to End Hunger in Lakewood. Mayor Paul found there were about 40 different groups that were operating in Lakewood that were supporting food needs in different ways, and the mayor wanted to bring those groups together in partnership with the mayor's office. During 2020, Jane Barnes, who led the Coalition to End Hunger in Lakewood, and I decided the best thing to do during the pandemic was to bring those three coalitions together to form one organization called Serve Spot Lakewood. Serve Spot Lakewood is really focused on connecting these different organizations, faith groups, food groups, service clubs, in partnership with the mayor's office to do good together, and also to increase a spirit of volunteerism across the city of Lakewood. The capstone of this effort of Serve Spot was Love Lakewood Day. So Love Lakewood Day is focused on a one-day event where we bring together neighborhoods, city leaders, businesses, schools for a day of service across the city. So we've had two Love Lakewood Days in the past couple of years, and there are some projects up there for you to glean over. This information is also on the Love Lakewood website underneath Love Lakewood Day on the Serve Spot Lakewood site. I want to point out one of the projects that we did this year that's on this list. In the Two Creeks neighborhood, there was an incredible cleanup project that really demonstrates what collaboration and partnership is all about. In Two Creeks neighborhood, the neighborhood association got together with the city of Lakewood, and Pastor Ruben Rodriguez is here from Mount Air Christian Church, and these entities all work together along with city councilors Isabel and Sophia to do this great cleanup project. It was an awesome picture of collaboration and partnership. Next, I want to show you a video. This video is a great explanation of what Love Lakewood Day is all about. And this presentation is made by some students that are also going to speak to you from Rostein Elementary as soon as the video is over. So let's watch the video.
I'm happy that the volunteers put all the labels on the spine of the book so it can be easier to find them. And for like kindergartners, so maybe they don't know their letters yet, they know their colors, so it can be easier for them to find some books.
I'm glad that all the things are color coded because, for example, what if my little brother tried to put something away and he didn't know? Like, if colors weren't there.
I've been looking at the changes in the library from last year to this year, because last year books were scattered everywhere. And I had to go into the computers, I couldn't find anything. And even where they said it would be, it wasn't in that spot. But now there's fantasy with this one, and then the spines have little fantasy. And it's just organized now.
And, like, it was harder to find books because it was messy and people kept scattering the books around so you couldn't find it. And now they put numbers and how the book is about. This is off topic, but my favorite genre could be chapter books. It's everything. I like sports books, all that good stuff.
My favorite genre is horror or maybe mystery. And I'm just happy that they added the label on the spine so it can help kids find books more better now.
Yep.
Could you guys take me to your favorite genre in the library?
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share our experience with Serve Spot Lakewood.
As IB students, we are taught the importance of taking action and how doing so shapes our local and global community.
When Service Spot Lakewood brought different members of our community together on Love Lakewood Day, they created a sense of belonging. It showed us how we are all connected and benefit from one simple act of service.
We ask that this work not only continues but is expanded. Students of Rostein International have said that they would love to have volunteers come and help us with our learning. They could pull groups or come as experts on a topic, and we'd be really excited if volunteers would be able to bring more before and after school clubs that are free. Rostein International and schools just like ours need the help of our community because even the smallest of actions can lead to much needed change.
In conclusion, the work done by Serve Spot Lakewood is essential to our growth as a community. We encourage you to be reflective on how you can support and expand upon their work. Thank you.
I want to thank Principal Melissa Girard and Librarian Sharday Hubbard, who are here tonight. If they would mind stand and be recognized briefly. And all the other educators and families and students that are here tonight from Rostein, would you stand and be recognized briefly? Thank you very much. So here's our ask. City Council members, we'd love to have your leadership and your involvement to make Love Lakewood Day everything that it could be. I'm going to encourage you in the next few months to invite Serve Spot Lakewood team members to upcoming ward meetings. Let's brainstorm possible projects in your ward together. Let's get some folks together from your ward and some of our Serve Spot team members, and let's walk your neighborhood. Let's look for opportunities together in your part and corner of the city. There is a link to a survey on the Serve Spot Lakewood site that's not showing up here right now. And so, there it is. So in this link, you can form a survey that you could spread to members of your ward and to neighbors, business leaders, and collect ideas for projects that we might look at for the 2025 Love Lakewood Day. It'll be about the second or the third weekend in September. We'll get that information out, and it could be on the Love Lakewood site. In closing, there are more pictures of past projects on the Serve Spot Lakewood website that might stir your imagination of what could be possible in your ward and your turf. We can build a more beautiful city together. And city council leaders, we believe you're key in this success. Let's mobilize neighborhoods, businesses, and citizens to get more involved in transforming their city in the place that we know it can be. Thank you very much. Jay's got some flyer information that he'll pass out later. Are there any questions before we close out our part of the presentation tonight? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cox, and Love Lakewood team for all your amazing work. Before we shift over to our first segment of public comment this evening, I'd like to yield the floor for a moment to our city manager, Kathy Hodson, to introduce our new Director of Community Resources.
Thank you, Mayor Strom. I'm so excited to introduce Tracy Whelan. I've asked Tracy just to say a few words about her past and why she comes to Lakewood.
Good evening, Mayor and members of Council. Tracy Whelan, Community Resources Director. I am so thrilled to be here this evening and abundantly grateful to be part of this organization and such an amazing group of professionals. To give you a bit of background on me, I'm a Colorado native. I actually grew up about an hour northeast of here in a rural farming community, and I made my way throughout the state. I spent some time and started my career with the city of Greeley and worked for the town of LaSalle, and then spent 24 years on the western slope with the city of Glenwood Springs and then the city of Grand Junction. Made my way back over to the Front Range and spent some time with the King Carroll Ranch Metropolitan District, and then had this amazing opportunity. And I am so excited to not only work with you all, and most importantly, I'm really excited to get to know the Lakewood community and to work hand in hand with them. So I'm sure you'll be seeing much more of me in the days to come, but with that, I just thank you for allowing me this opportunity, and I'm grateful to be here.
Thank you, Ms. Whelan. Welcome to Lakewood. Glad we got to profile lots of good things for you this evening. Okay. And with that, we will go ahead and turn over to our first segment of initial public comment this evening. This is the first point in tonight's meeting where the public is invited to address the City Council on items that are not on tonight's agenda. This initial period of public comment allows for up to 10 speakers to provide comment on any matter other than an agenda item, and will prioritize those with special needs. Speaking during this initial period of public comment does require signing up to speak with the city clerk in advance of the meeting. There is no pooling of time during the initial public comment period. And the goal of public comment is to create an environment that welcomes all stakeholders to share their thoughts and concerns. Whether your comments are left here in Chambers or on lakewoodspeaks.org, I ask that all comments be directed to the City Council and that anyone in attendance be respectful of the decorum of City Council chambers, refrain from applause or audible support or discord for the speaker or council. The purpose of this time tonight is for us to hear from you. This is a listen-only session. If you would like to engage in a conversation with your counselors, staff, or myself, you may do so via phone, scheduled office visits, or in email. For anyone that is attending our meeting this evening virtually, you can leave public comment on lakewoodspeaks.org. Again, that will be available through 10 a.m. tomorrow. If, when you come up to the lectern here for public comment, if you've got any handouts, I would welcome you to leave those with the city clerk, Mr. Rob, and he will get those to city council following the meeting. So we'll go ahead and go down the list, and when you come forward, I would ask that you please start by stating your name and address, or your name and ward, and we'll get the clock started. You've got 3 minutes. First up, we have Miss Joan Poston.
I am Mrs. Poston, and I live in unincorporated Jefferson County, and I'm not going to state my address because I have been receiving some interesting literature. I have come here tonight to City Council. I haven't been here for about 3 months because I began to feel like I wasn't being heard. And I think this is something you need to discuss with Love Lakewood, because some of them think that you have ward meetings where people are heard. And I have been hearing on next door that some of these meetings have been office hours only and not really participatory. That is against the charter, and I think you need to look into that a little bit more. The reason I'm here tonight is to put something on public record. It has to do with the land that some people say is at 4th and Union, and some people say is at 6th and Union, and they tend to change the location when they want to. This has to do with how the city council is viewing this land and how things are changing rather rapidly. In 7 days, there'll be a different administration. And as you all know, I worked very hard to find out some of the things in the background of the land there at 6th and Union. I spent 2.5 years with FOIA materials. And I have had some interesting interest in this land and what happened to me with my FOIAs. I can tell you that I did have a phone call again this morning from DC. You need to understand that there's background with this land, and that to be engaging in blighting of it or anything that will bring the city council in partnership with this land might be something you need to address with your past council members and perhaps past mayor, and maybe you need to understand a little bit more about how this land was contaminated, conceived. It can't be blighted because it was never developed. Thank you very much. I will go on, and I appreciate you being here. I hope you are listening.
Thank you, Ms. Poston. Susan Carroll. Then we have Anthony Lewis, and then Brad Bruce.
Mrs. Poston.
I'm sorry, I said Ms.
Good evening. Okay. My name is Susan Carroll. I'm in Ward 1. And I want to start off by thanking Councilwoman Sinks for the support. I'm a tenant in an apartment building at 1975 Oak. I came here at about the end of October to talk about the problems. Well, they're continuing, and I stand before you guys today to let you know that the property management company, their contract might be up. It might be new property managers. So I am out. And I wanted to follow up with you guys and to give great gratitude to Councilwoman Sinks. We had problems with drug activity with cars unattended parked on the street. That stopped. For the first time Sunday, there wasn't cars parked on the street. You know, and it's been a few months later, but it's great. The other part is Lakewood Police. Oh my God. They can't do anything unless there's actually criminal activity that they can see. But the deterrent has made a difference in my life and the people at 1975 Oak. They're responsive. Dispatch, helpful as well. And then West Metro Fire, because we've had people needing the services. And I'm just so grateful. So, I've written a spiel. Yeah, here we go. Anonymous absentee out-of-state real estate investors of multifamily housing are morally and civilly corrupt and must divest to local owners. There is a stark and glaring contrast in living conditions for tenants in multifamily housing between those tenants whose owners are local and care about their property and real estate investors that are charging exorbitant rents and who have recently instituted the practice of charging extra fees to pay for many property expenses. Something is terribly wrong here, and these nefarious investment practices are a no-brainer for these shysters. Guaranteed income or tenants threatened with eviction. Smart business, and yet every tenant that I know is concerned about how they're going to meet the rent and if they're going to be evicted. Tenants need to know their rights. They need to have a voice. We need to know the leases. A lease is a critical document, most important contract I sign, and I don't know who the person is or people that are supposed to take care of the property. If there's a problem, no one's responsible. Tenants live there 24/7. We're the ones that live on the property. We're the ones that live at the property. And we have no say. Someone in Manhattan has the say over my place, and I don't think they've ever been there. So thank you. Again, Councilwoman Sinks, Lakewood Police, West Metro Fire. You guys are doing a lot, as much as they can. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carroll. Mr. Anthony Lewis, then we have Brad Bruce, and then Sean Haggerty.
Hello, my name is Anthony Lewis. I am right off of 16th Street. Colorado became the first state to adopt a renewable standard by ballot initiative. As a whole, we've recognized the benefits of and necessity of pursuing renewables and sustainability. Statewide goals and mandates have been put into place, achieving net zero renewable energy by 2040, greenhouse gas reductions by 50% by 2030 through decommissioning the remaining Comanche coal plants, in which Xcel has already taken the nomenclature for their $8 billion solar farm down near Pueblo, paid for by Xcel customers. Many of the rate increases throughout the major monopolizing utilities have become economic barriers to lower income housing and small businesses. Xcel has implemented multiple programs to meet these mandates, wind farms out east on 80 and other projects such as the Comanche solar farm. Right now, the two main options for homeowners are sticking with their current utility or switching to photovoltaics. In the past, the only way to make the switch has been paying cash or taking out a loan. Now there are nationwide programs that offer easier access to alternative REPs. I'm here today to ask the council to look into licensing regulation requirements for these retail energy providers. Companies such as Recheck accommodate these services. With the current energy monopoly, there's been a joyous amount of homes that have benefited from having a choice, yet we have all heard the horror stories from the previously unregulated market. Further involvement through courses similar to the HIS licensing from the city and state will allow Coloradans to take advantage of safer regulated decisions for their family. The future of Colorado will be solar powered. What we want is to make sure that people know they have a choice and the ability to make a safe, informed decision for their home. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Brad Bruce.
Hello, my name is Brad Bruce. I live in Ward 2. I'm here to ask the City Council to pass 2 resolutions. The first would be to condemn the use of American weapons in Palestine. The number of confirmed Palestinians that have been killed by Israeli military action since late 2023 is now at 46,500. Nearly 70% of that number is women and children. 1,000 of those, almost 47,000 deaths, have occurred in just the last 13 days since the start of 2025. 8 of those deaths were infants who died of hypothermia on account of more than 2/3 of all buildings in Gaza being destroyed by Israel. This death tolls on top of almost 110,000 wounded in Palestine and the millions going without adequate food as we sit in this room. What Israel is doing in the Gaza Strip with our support is being called a genocide by international NGOs, Amnesty International, and Human Rights Watch. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been charged for war crimes of the starvation as a method of warfare and intentionally directing an attack against a civilian population. On January 4th, just 9 days ago, the Biden administration announced an additional $8 billion weapons sale to Israel. This is on top of the $23 billion that Israel received in aid from the United States in 2023 and 2024. Our tax dollars are spent on weapons and bombs for Israel to commit a genocide while our infrastructure in our community crumbles and our housing costs continue to soar, which forces more and more of our neighbors onto the streets. This council cannot unilaterally fix the issues in the Middle East, but it can take a firm stance against Lakewood tax dollars being used for genocide. Please pass a resolution condemning the use of American weapons in Palestine. My second ask is for the City Council to pass a resolution stating that the city resources will not be used in any way to assist the upcoming Trump administration's deportation efforts, which he is now calling Project Aurora. This resolution would be reconfirming state law HB 23-1100, but when the federal government places such an overt target on one of our neighboring cities, it is not enough to sit quietly by and hope that one singular state law will be enough to protect our neighbors and residents of Aurora. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bruce. Sean Haggerty, and then Nate Whiteman.
I'm Sean Haggerty. I'm in Ward 2, roughly at 14th and Balsam. What I encourage the city to do is to resurrect and integrate a neighborhood watch and business watch system across the city. Unfortunately, last night, we had another death, a murder at Kendall and Larimer on 14th Avenue. We've had far too many. I had an individual shot in a drive-by shooting literally across from my front door at Lakewood United Methodist Church. It's important that we resurrect some of the elements that were put in place by Chief Ron Burns many years ago, but that we also add a business component to it. In the last election cycle, I live primarily in House District 30. I talked to a number of the businesses there. One of our candidates, a former counselor here, Ramey Johnson, literally attempted to talk to every business in that district. The comments and concerns they had with regard to shoplifting and the other crime issues were significant, and they cut across all economic concerns. In my walking that entire district, I found many common issues with regard to crime, theft, drugs. Unfortunately, one of the systems that we had that helped address some of those population issues, Main Street Ministries, has lost their license or their residency at roughly 14th and Ammons. Hopefully they will find the ability to relocate. What I suggest we do, and I understand there may be some other members, past members of council perhaps, that have looked into reestablishing those neighborhood types of watch processes, is because I think the only way we're going to recover our city and stop the increasing violence, especially along the 14th Street corridor, from Sheridan all the way to Kipling and beyond, is to put the efforts of both the businesses and the local neighbors together and try and see if we can turn this around. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haggerty.
I'm Nate Whiteman, Ward 5. I took the Citizen Planning Academy in 2016. Anyway, I was, this is my name tag. Actually, the name they assigned me was I Have an Idea, which is pretty cute. So I just saw that. But so I'm rather frustrated Good evening, Mayor and Council. The very misleading open space initiative is a huge problem, in my opinion. Every property owner in Lakewood has had their property rights infringed. It is absolutely shameful that new affordable housing construction has been stopped. Citizens in North Lakewood are being forced to tolerate blight, safety issues, instead of driving Lakewood's renewal to vibrancy. The ordinance does very little for useful park acquisitions and definitely will not lower housing costs or rentals. Normal development has stopped due to being no longer financially viable. The results look to have nothing to do with open space. The initiative goes counter to the comprehensive plan of 10 years ago, and the taxpayers of Lakewood, who once again will be on the hook for the legal challenges of this property rights attack and takings. Areas of Lakewood with steeper topography, think of Green Mountain, East Westgate, maybe Applewood. If these areas can't find land with an average slope less than 4:1, then they won't be permitted to build ADUs or subdivisions now. The minimum slope will require a surveyed platted parcel for dedication. These parcels shall not be used in the development process per the ordinance. Note, I said these parcels cannot be used, okay? So let that sink in. Tiny little dedicated house-sized pieces of property no longer can be used on that section of land, okay? Into the future. How will future buyers, 29 seconds, darn. How will future buyers of homes understand, right, this obligation, this encumbrance on their property, right? Is it going to be on Zillow? You're not going to see it on Zillow. You're going to buy this property, right, and say, I'm going to blow out an addition here and have my kids grow up, and then you're going to go to planning, and they're going to say, nope. And you're going to say, how'd that happen, right? I bought this land, and you're telling me that there's a piece of my land that can never be built on for the rest of that land's purpose, right? Anyway, I have lots to say, but thank you all. Yeah. I appreciate you all. I really do. You're really just wonderful. It's a wonderful council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whiteman. And that finishes our initial period of public comment. Will the clerk please read item 9 into the record?
Item 9, Resolution 2025-2, appointing the Mayor Pro Tem of the City Council of the City of Lakewood.
Mayor, I move for the appointment of Councilor Sherazai as Mayor Pro Tem in accordance with Resolution 2025-2.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor and the second. And do we have any comments? Councilor Sinks.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I appreciate Councilor Sherazai's willingness to serve this another year in this capacity. I also appreciated her work last year in this role, and her leadership is very well done. Okay, so I feel fortunate also to have Mayor Pro Tem Sherazai as my co-councilor in Ward 1. Thank you again for serving.
Councilor Lowe.
I just wanted to thank Councilor Mayor Pro Tem Sherazai for stepping up. Really appreciate the incredible work you do in this role, and really grateful that you're willing to take this on for another year. It's a lot of work, and you do it very well, so thank you.
I will add that you have been invaluable to being my partner through this in my first year in this job. As you can imagine, this is not an easy job to have, and Councilor Zarazai came in and has been very helpful from the very beginning. And one of the things that we have done within my tenure so far is also really work to kind of codify what exactly that role means as Mayor Pro Tem. And so that has been taking on more ownership with regards to, stewarding the goals the City Council creates every year. And just you've played an integral role in helping with all of the Monday work. There's lots of work going on leading up to our meetings on Monday night. It might look seamless, but it's not. So thank you very much, and do hope to be able to work with you again in that capacity this year. With that, I do not have anyone signed up for public comment on this item. Do we have anyone in chambers that would like to speak to this particular agenda item? Okay, so we'll go ahead and close public comment. And if we can go ahead, please, we have a motion on the floor in a second, and cast your vote. Oh, we got Councilor Nystrom. Can someone do, can you, yep. Thank you, Councilor Lowe. Councilor Nystrom, was that a yes? Yes. Thank you. All right, and that passes with 9 yeses and 0 nays. All right, will the clerk please read the consent agenda into the record?
The consent agenda is comprised of the following items. Item 10, Resolution 2025-3, approving City Council appointments to various boards and committees. Item 11, Resolution 2025-4, designating the public place for posting notices of public meetings during 2025 pursuant to CRS 24-6-402. Item 12, Ordinance O-2025-1, designating the structure located at 1801 Glendale Drive, City of Lakewood, County of Jefferson, State of Colorado as a local landmark. Item 13, approving minutes of the City Council meetings, regular City Council meeting minutes of October 14th, 2024.
Thank you. Council, do we have any items anyone wishes to pull from the consent agenda this evening? No? Okay, may I please have a motion?
Mayor Strom, I move for the approval of City Council minutes, order all ordinances introduced on first reading to be published in the Denver Post with the public hearing set for the date included in the ordinance, and for the adoption of resolutions, all of which are included in the consent agenda items introduced into the record by the city clerk.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. I do not have anyone signed up to speak on public comment on consent agenda this evening. Would anyone like to add their name to the list for consent agenda? Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment for the consent agenda. And with that, we'll go ahead and vote. Councilor Lowe, you're on Nystrom duty tonight. It's a yes. Yeah. Okay, and that passes 9 yeses and 0 nays. Will the clerk please read item 14 into the record?
Item 14, second reading and public hearing for Ordinance O-2024-33, creating Code 14.29 of the City of Lakewood, Colorado Municipal Code regulating metropolitan districts.
Okay, we'll now open the public hearing. Actually, we have a no, we do not have a staff presentation on this, sorry. I will now open the public hearing And for that, I have Mr. Sean Haggerty, but it looks like he has stepped out. Philip Hardinger? Mr. Bruce, did you want to be added to the list as well? Okay. All right, if you'll start with your
Thank you.
name and address or name and ward, we'll get your clerk.
Philip Hardinger at Ward 4, one of Dave Ryan's people. Anyway, I was hoping we wouldn't, the city of Lakewood wouldn't try to designate that plot of land there at 6th and Union and not go through with the blighting process, because I don't think this is going to end up well for us as both a city council and as well as the citizenry. So I just thought I would make that comment. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Mr. Bruce, you're up.
Hello, my name is Brad Bruce. I live in Ward 2. I am against this ordinance because I do not think it goes far enough to ban metro districts in Lakewood. I'm a renter, but from what I have read about metro districts, it paints a pretty bleak picture for homeowners who live inside one. They seem to operate with little oversight, no checks on conflicts of interest, and huge amount of unilateral authority over property rates, tax rates within their district. I think if the city needs to fund municipal services that are offered by metro districts, then it should be done by the city itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have anyone else that wishes to speak on this item this evening? Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And I will open up the floor to council for comments and questions. I know we have a few amendments that are going to be proposed this evening. Do we have any counselors that have questions, not yet amendments? You do? Okay, Councilor Ryan.
You know, the last public comment raised something that I think we heard from a number of folks, so I want to just try and make sure we get this cleared up. And these questions are to legal, if I may. So if we don't pass this ordinance, a developer can still ask the city of Lakewood to designate a metro district because state law allows metro districts. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Does the city of Lakewood have the ability to ban, to say, no metro districts in Lakewood?
No. So per state statute, any applicant desiring to establish a metro district can still under state statute, provide a service plan to the municipality, and you would evaluate it currently right now using the statutory criteria.
And I'm sure you're aware there's probably a number of amendments that will appear, but as the ordinance is written now, is it more restrictive than the state law?
Yes, there are requirements proposed tonight in this proposed chapter or section 14.29 that don't appear in state statute. So for example, there are some additional notification requirements, both when homes go up for sale, such as yard signs, postings on the MLS, being marked in the Metro District area. There are various sections that are additional restrictions, essentially.
So if we don't pass this ordinance in whatever version that gets passed, a developer would be would be entitled to move forward with a metro district with fewer restrictions than what's being proposed.
Correct. They would just have the statutory requirements.
That's all the questions I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up, we have Mayor Pro Tem Sharazai and then Councilor LeBure.
Thank you. I had a question on page 16, 14-29.100, basically about the annual reports. Just wanted to clarify, because I know there's Metro District pages on the city website and then, of course, the Metro Districts. I wasn't clear from this. Will the annual reports be required for public posting in those places? And can we require, 3 years of that documentation or something similar to that?
So the annual report would be required, right now it's required per state statute to be posted on the district's website.
Okay.
We can also require that to be posted on the city's website where we intend to maintain the district information. As far as a look back of annual reports, that is certainly something that can be incorporated either into the ordinance or into what we will need to establish a city district IGA. So if council takes the position that they would like to have, a 3-year look back of all the, district's annual reports or something like that for districts that are currently established, that could be something that we put into future IGAs. That could also be something if you'd like to amend existing city district IGAs.
I was less about a look back, and I think that's important, but more of just the public availability of those annual reports. So could we add, if council was open, I know we're not there yet, but the opportunity for that, since we're hosting a Metro District information page on our own site, just making sure that the annual report's also listed there, because that wasn't explicit.
Yep, we can include those.
And then just one point of clarity on page 5, section 1429.040D. I wanted to understand how outside review would impact the timeline. Like, is there RFP that's sent out every time for the outside contractor? Do we sort of license with someone? What does that look like?
So right now, and I think it would vary, but typically, I know we have the ability to hire consultants to assist finance, sometimes with the disclosures and financial considerations. This really just gives the city the opportunity to hire, essentially outside reviewers. If, let's say we have a situation where we're all of a sudden inundated with requests or something like that. But barring that, city staff is reviewing these Metro District proposals. So to give you an example, right now, members of the Sustainability and Community Development team, Public Works, Economic Development, Finance, the City Attorney's Office, we all have individuals who are adept and able to review the Metro District service plans. Councilor LeBura.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a comment. Is this a good time for that, or you want to do that? Okay. My comment was just, this is better than the alternative. And I will say I was here, years ago when we first did an attempt of trying to enhance these ordinances, and we spent a year working on, trying to up these metro districts and try to put in some sensible regulations to make it a little bit better, more transparent, and all that sort of thing. And man, we weren't just meeting every month either. We were meeting like every other week, and it was a long process just to get us to the point where we voted it down. So it's like Groundhog's Day to be back here talking about this again. And then obviously this year, on and off, we've been talking about this. And I just wanted to comment that, this is a move in the right direction. It's not perfect. It's not going to solve all of our problems. But it's important, I think. And so I'll be supporting this. I'm looking forward to putting in additional transparency measures for metro districts. And I'll tell you, we haven't had a metro district passed in Lakewood in quite a few years. I think I was here the last one, I think was Westline Village, I think. So it's been quite a bit of time. But unfortunately, that's just the state we live in. This is, without metro districts, it would be very difficult to develop in Colorado, I think. And, a number of developments from Highlands Ranch to Castle Rock is loaded with them, and that's where I grew up. We wouldn't have houses here if it wasn't for it, and I think it's because of the strict tax laws that we have here in Colorado. So I think it's maybe not the way I would want to do it if we had a blank slate, but I think it's kind of emblematic of where we are as a state. So anyway, I'll stop there, but thanks.
Councillor Sinks.
Thank you. I appreciated an email this morning from former councillor Dave Skilling. His email went like this, quote, "Many, many hours have been collectively spent by past and current council and staff, as well as community members and various stakeholders." End of quote. So it's been, as Councilor LeBeer was saying, many, many years. So it's altogether fitting that we do this tonight. As again, Councilor LeBeer said, is it going to be perfect? Probably not, since we're all people. But to the best of our ability, we've done our due diligence to help residents in Lakewood. And so I will be supporting this ordinance as well. Thanks.
Councilor Lowe.
I just wanted to call out that in addition to the whole process that Councilor LeBeer referenced several years ago and all the work that was done there, I want to recognize Mr. Parker and the City Attorney's Office and our staff for the fact that at this point, by my count, correct me if I'm wrong, but at this point we had a study session in the first quarter of 2024. We had a workshop, I believe, in May 2024, and we had a second page turn workshop on this ordinance the first week of November 2024. And it's now been on first reading, and now it's on second reading, in addition to the entire cycle that Councilor LeBeer described several years ago. My 2 cents is I feel like we've had ample opportunities to, I mean, this is all appropriate. I mean, this is a big, complicated ordinance. There were a lot of questions. But, all of these were public meetings. All of these were opportunities. There were many, many opportunities for the public to weigh in with comments. We heard comments. Changes were made, amendments were made at each cycle in this process. So I do feel like a lot of due diligence. I mean, at this point, I feel like I'm going to be honest. I haven't looked at every single word of this ordinance this time around, but that's because I looked at it the last 4 times, and every time I looked at the changes that were made in the previous iteration. So we've had multiple page turn opportunities on this ordinance. I feel like this is a vetted piece of work. I agree with Councilor Sinks and Councilor Buer. It's never going to be perfect. I agree with the point that Councilor Ryan artfully drew out that this is not perfect, but this goes well beyond the requirements of the state, and we don't have a magic wand to just sort of ban metro districts altogether, even if we wanted to. Lastly, I do just want to recognize Councilor Ryan. It may not be obvious because Councilor Ryan is low-key and humble, but he's done a lot of due diligence on this process over the last year. He's gone through this ordinance with a fine-tooth comb 4 or 5 times, and he's really offered a number of amendments throughout the process that I think have made it better and stronger. So really appreciate Councilor Ryan's legal skills and eagle eye on this ordinance, and I think it's made it stronger, and I'm looking forward to finally passing it tonight.
Councilor Mayotte Guerrero.
I have relatively similar sentiment to share on this, even before some of our current councilors were elected. I had already done, I think, 3 public meetings on this topic, 1 study session, a workshop, and then there was an extra conversation that happened in a committee. So this is necessary because I think, as we've pointed out, as we let it sit, we are actually at risk of ending up being cornered into the potential of a metro district or needs, and the metro districts that exist and how they are regulated are things that we have not then therefore updated. And I also would really like to pass on the thanks and celebration of the leadership of my colleague here, Councilor Bryan, because this is very technical, but as is really clear from the way that the public has continued to follow this for many, many years, it is of great importance, of course, and wanting to make sure that it is something that actually does what we are hoping to do, which is have true systems of transparency and accountability for these metro districts, is difficult to get right. And I will admit that once you began fully wrapping your head around it, I have trust falled a little bit more on this policy than I have on others. I'm not one to normally do that. I think everybody knows I like to read. I also like to overread an ordinance and come with too many amendments. And I look at yours and I read what we have and we have conversations about it and your level of grown expertise in a short amount of time and grown leadership and really the true way that you're trying to look at these community values and getting this done in a really technical and bureaucratic system is incredibly impressive. And I am delighted for you to help carry us over the finish line tonight.
Councilor Ryan.
can I just say thank you very much for those comments, and I hope I didn't completely screw it up. But I mean, as Councilors Sinks and LeBeer and Lowe pointed out, we did have a lot of work that went into this from other councils, and we have incredible staff who've really worked hard, including some staff who is here tonight who helped me over the weekend in trying to get the language right, and many phone calls to legal, probably to the fact that they were hesitant to even answer my phone call. So I'm very appreciative of all the work that our staff has put into this as well.
All right. I'll just add one comment to that. And I am very much in support of passing these rules, the regulations to increase transparency and tighten up some of the rules with these metro districts. Yes, they are very widely used across the state of Colorado as a financing mechanism for development. They are also, they have been in the past, not necessarily doing all the right things at all the right times. And we want to make sure that we are taking care of our residents, not only our current ones, but our future ones that may be moving here into these. And that is why council picked this up, I know, years ago, and why we're picking it up again now. This is really an opportunity for the city to make sure that development is paying their own way so that our newer residents are paying, and it's through a financing mechanism that allows a developer to not have to sell a house with an extra $30,000 on top because of the sidewalks that they had to put in. And it is something that I do fundamentally believe, development paying their fair share is important for our residents that have been living in the same home for 30 years to have to be part of that financing mechanism for brand new development. Doesn't necessarily make sense to me. So I'm very supportive of this measure. I'm really looking forward to us finally being able to check this one as done. And I want to send gratitude to our staff for the many hours that was spent putting this together, and for our current and former counselors that likewise played a role in this. We do have one more comment from Councilor Cruz, and then I will ask for a motion.
Thank you. Yeah, just wanted to jump on the train of speaking to the amount of work that has been put in even in my short tenure, as well as, even with this outline, which I think gives us a lot better information when and if we consider a proposal for a metro district. It also doesn't bind us in approving or bind how we decide on it, right? And so for anybody with some level of skepticism about metro districts, which I must admit that I share, I think that this is just the beginning of how we talk about it, not an outcome on how any decision would be made on any specific service plan. So I just think that that's important to note, and particularly with, I know, some of the amendments that Councilor Ryan and all of his due diligence will be bringing forward. I think this is a much better place than we are now in considering these. So just wanted to put those comments out into the community.
And may I have a motion, please?
Mayor, I move for the adoption of Ordinance O-2024-33 on second and final reading.
Second.
Okay. So we will go ahead and open up the window, Councilor Ryan, for your amendments and any other amendments that anybody, Councilor Ryan's the only one I'm familiar with.
Okay. So the first one is maybe a little bit hyper-technical, but on page 15 of the red line, section 1429.070, it currently refers to a study session, and just given the nature that we are going to be sitting as with judge-like hats on it, we can't receive information outside of that body, and the study session is not one of those sessions where we can receive that type of information. So I move to strike 14.29.070 sub A and renumber the rest of 14.29.070.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any council questions or conversation? Councilor Matt Guerrero.
I just want confirmation from staff that this is necessary in doing essentially what we're hoping that it does here and does not, unnecessarily handcuff our ability to have all of the possible learning tools available to us.
Yes, thank you for your question. So this, the Metro District Service Plan is a quasi-judicial process, so there cannot be any ex parte information, conversation, anything like that prior to the actual hearing. So this amendment is correct. You would not be allowed to discuss this matter at a study session in advance of a public hearing.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
All right, and with that, we'll go ahead and ask for a vote. We have a motion and a second on the floor. This is just for amendment number 1 from Councilor Ryan. Councilor Nystrom's a yes. All right, and that passes 9 yeses and 0 nays. Councilor Ryan.
So I will confess, I'm not sure how best to handle this next piece, but I would suggest bundling these things together, if you will. We can break them up if it becomes too cumbersome. But so the first piece would be to add a definition in section 14.29.020 and define formal application means a written submission from an applicant to the city that operates as a request to proceed with the proposed development. I guess I put the cart before the horse. I'll keep going. In section 14.29050 I4, I'd like to add the words service plan or development agreement submitted with the application to create a district. I'd like to add that language after the comma preceding preliminary development plan. So it would read as a whole, should the district proceed with the submission of any formal application that is a significant deviation from the preliminary plan, comma, service plan, comma, or development agreement submitted with the application to create a district, comma, the city may elect to exercise any of the options in section 14.29110 sub B of this code. And then the next one is in 14.29050 I5, replace development plan with site plan. So it would read, the district may not levy taxes, enter into long-term financial obligations, comma, or issue debt without approval by the city of a site plan that is in substantial compliance with the service plan or development agreement, period. The reason for all this, for these amendments is, at least that's what my goal, is that when the developer comes to us and asks us whether we want to approve a metro district or not, they're going to propose a development plan. Here's what we want to build. These two amendments hopefully will hold their feet to the fire, if you will. So if you're going to propose to develop something and we say, wow, that's great, that's something we want in the city, that we have some ability to make sure that that is exactly what is built, and that no debt is issued to the folks within that metro district until that formal plan, until that site plan is formally accepted by the city through its normal process. There's also a little bit of ambiguity between what a development plan might be and a preliminary development plan. So on the advice of staff, we were using site plan in that other language that was submitted. I hope that wasn't too confusing.
Second?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor for the amendments. Do we have any questions to those amendments? All right, then we'll go ahead and put forth those to a vote. Councilor Knight. And that passes 9 yeses, 0 nays. And I think, Councilor Ryan, you had one more, I believe.
Yes. So this was, this amendment is inspired, if you will, by one of our former city councilors. It was proposed as a ban to certain folks from running for office for one of the boards. And for various reasons, I'm pivoting slightly after talking to that city councilor about making it more of a disclosure. So if you're going to run for a board and you have some ties or interest in the district, so you have some ties to the developer or someone related to that developer, or you have some financial interest in the district and you want to run for office, then you need to file something with the city that discloses under oath what those interests are, and that document is publicly available for everyone to see. So trying to bring some sunshine, if you will, to perhaps some of these districts. So the proposed amendment is to add 14.29050 big F3 little d. Candidates running for the board must file with the city a declaration signed under oath subject to the penalty of perjury, identifying all relationships and interests with the developer, developer affiliates, and any other pecuniary interest in the district other than ownership of the residents. Such filings shall be readily available to the public.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Do we have any council questions on this amendment? Councilor Lowe, then Councilor Cruz.
Thank you, Councilor Ryan. It looks like a good amendment to me. Can we just, in the spirit of sort of double checking with our friends in the city attorney's office, do you think that this phrase, identifying all relationships and interests with the developer or developer affiliate and other pecuniary interest, is that phrase clear enough as to not result in sort of unnecessary ambiguity?
Yes, I think that language would suffice. And we also have additional provisions regarding end users and developer affiliates that I think, read completely in context, will require them to make the appropriate disclosure for all of those reasons that were stated.
Thank you.
Councilor Cruz.
Thank you. My question was going to be pretty similar to Councilor Lowe's, just since there was language existing in the proposed ordinance about notification regarding being a developer affiliate, whether kind of this language played well with that language, but it seems like the answer is yes. So I just wanted to highlight that this was something that we were thinking about, but I think that this is a very helpful clarification just to make sure that that information is clear and lawful. So thank you, Councilor Ryan.
Was there a question in there? I thought there was.
The question was previously answered.
Okay.
So I turned it into a
All right.
statement. Thank you.
Seeing no more questions, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Oh, wait, nope, sorry, we're doing the amendment first. Yes, we have the motion and the second on the floor. So with that, we will go ahead and move forward. So the next vote cast is for this particular amendment. Yes. And that passes 9 yeses, 0 nays. Okay. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Now we are voting on the amendment as amended, or the ordinance as amended. Do we need another motion saying that specifically as amendment? As I'm going home. As amended.
I think you're fine.
Okay. All right. So with that, your next vote will be on the entire ordinance with the inclusion of the amendments that we just passed. Please cast your votes. All right. That passes 9 yeses and 0 nays. Will the clerk please read item 15 into the record?
Item 15, second reading and public hearing on Ordinance O-2024-34, an ordinance amending Title 17, Article 4, Section 3, supplemental standards for car washes and fueling stations.
And with that, we do have a staff presentation this evening. And so we'll move forward with our staff presentation before we open up public comment. Mr. Paul Rice, our planning manager, is here to give us a brief presentation this evening.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I don't have a formal presentation. If you would like to review the presentation put together by Chair Kolkmeyer, I can do that. What he did, he's actually out of the country this evening, and he asked me to kind of reiterate the Planning Commission went through 3 public hearings, gathered quite a bit of information related to the environment, sustainability, and so forth, and it has put forth the draft before you. Based at the workshop we had last summer, there were some discussion about changes and so forth, and he said the commissioners, it was their recommendation, and if the council were looking to modify that in any way, shape, or form, the Planning Commission supports that. So I'm here to answer questions, or if you have comments on the actual draft before you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. And this is a good opportunity to remind those who are watching, if you're interested in this topic or others, there is, in addition to having Lakewood Speaks for our public comment online forum, there are a lot of backup information, memos, staff memos, and you name it, all the reading you could possibly do at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep, or if you want to know a little bit more about this item or others. And for those also newly tuning into this topic, we did have a pretty in-depth study session on Monday, August 5th that would give a lot more information, especially around what Chair Kolkmeyer had presented to the council at that time. So with that, we'll go ahead and open up our public hearing. I have one individual signed up to speak to us tonight on this topic, and that is Mr. Craig Rommel.
It's Craig Romerell, Quick Trip Corporation, 12,000 Washington Street, Suite 175, Thornton, Colorado, 80241. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of City Council. I know the work you do in your capacity is not always easy. It's often a thankless job. And so I do appreciate the hard work that you engage in to make Lakewood a great place to live, work, and do business. Quick Trip has one location open in the city in Ward 3, and the response we've received since opening has been overwhelming as customers embrace our great customer service, our innovative clean stores, our fresh food options, and competitive pricing on gas. I come before you this evening in opposition to the gas station ordinance as currently written because of some of the unintended consequences that will come from this ordinance. According to the data that the state keeps, the Colorado car registration data for 2023, out of the 5.5 million cars on the road, there were less than 2% that were full electric. So the data for 2024 is still not out yet, but gas stations remain an incredibly important, critical component of the public's transportation needs. There are examples around the country of where cities have restricted new gas stations. One in Colorado, in Boulder, is one of those examples where competition has been severely restricted and the existing gas stations raise their gas prices. Using information easily available on websites such as gasbuddy.com, you can easily see gas prices in Boulder trend 30 to 60 cents higher than they do in the rest of the metro and other municipalities. That may be okay for citizens in Boulder to pay that additional 30 to 60 cents per gallon, but is that okay for the citizens of Lakewood, many of which cannot afford electronic vehicles? Let's see. I believe the measure that you're considering tonight does go too far towards an outright ban for new gas stations, limiting the areas where new gas stations can be constructed to only a few commercial parcels in the city, and with a 2,640 feet from another fueling station, severely limits the ability for new entrants into the market. As you consider new investment in your city, I hope you consider opening the door to best in class versus entrenching old fuel stations that have no motivation to upgrade their offering or facilities. And with that, thank you for your consideration time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Romero. Do I have anyone else in the room that would like to speak to this topic? Mr. Bruce.
Hello, my name is Brad Bruce. I live in Ward 2. I could not be more in favor of this ordinance. I very much hope it passes. It does 5 fantastic things that I think are all amazing in their own special ways. So one, it makes it impossible to build gas stations within half a mile of an existing gas station. If anything, I think that doesn't go far enough. Make it 2 miles within the nearest gas station. It makes it so that new gas stations cannot be built within 1/5 of a mile of residential plot of land. Again, if anything, that doesn't go far enough. I think it should be 2-3 miles from the nearest residential plot of land. Gasoline is basically poison. There's not lead in it really anymore, but it's still, I wouldn't want to live anywhere near a gas station. It mandates that all new gas stations must include 3 electric vehicles, or electric vehicle chargers. Electric vehicles are obviously not going to save us from the climate catastrophe, but they are a great next step, and they are obviously better than burning gasoline. It also limits the number of places fuel stations can be built by restricting zoning for fuel stations. I think that's fantastic, no notes. And then it limits number of places car washes can be built by restricting zoning for car washes. I think that's fantastic, no notes. Please consider passing this ordinance because frankly, screw the gas companies. I think you should be looking out for the residents of Lakewood and their health, not the profits of corporations that, are not from Lakewood. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and with that, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. May I have a motion, please?
Mayor, I move for the adoption of Ordinance O-2024-34 on second and final reading.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Council questions and comments, starting with Councilor Maguero.
I am really thrilled to see this. We had our Ward 2 community meeting this last Saturday, and this was not the main point of topic this ward meeting, but it did still come up, and I am grateful to the previous Ward 2 council person who now represents a different part of the city that is perhaps less directly impacted by this issue, but you continuing to hold it in your heart, and also to recognize that that gas station sprawl will eventually touch that part of Lakewood if we're not careful. And so I really think that this update is necessary. At the very least, I'm delighted to see this conversation continue. And I think particularly when we're looking at the year where we're thinking about our zoning and our comprehensive plan and what does the next 15 years of Lakewood look like, this is one additional tool to those sort of bigger overarching plans that helps to make those things possible. Feels incredibly aligned with the things that I've heard from day one in Ward 2, from the things that I've experienced as a Lakewood resident, and I'm delighted to be able to be in favor of this. And again, very grateful for the leadership from Councilor LeBure.
Councilor LeBure.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, yeah, just encourage you all to support this ordinance. You know, we have 55 fuel stations in Lakewood and a number of car washes, and you know, the goal really is just to make sure that you know, that we're not inundated with these type of businesses. They can be dangerous. They're contributing to our lack of ability to meet federal standards and air quality in the region. We're not going to meet attainment by the 2026 requirement, and adding new point sources all over the city and all over the region is continuing to contribute to that. So we have to find some sort of innovative solutions, and I think this is, you know, this is one of them that we can do in local government. Obviously, it has to be a regional strategy. You know, I'm sympathetic. Some of the folks at Quick Trip and some, you know, who have been here. I've had great conversations with a lot of, you know, your folks over the years. And I hope, you know, you continue to do great business here in Lakewood. But we got to figure out something. You know, obviously we have great examples like Kipling and Colfax, where there's a fuel station on every corner. There's ample evidence of the harmful effects of fugitive emissions that make their way into neighborhoods with the most carcinogenic toxins that come from fuel. And it's not just from stations, but it's the pumping and the aerosols when you're, you know, putting the nozzle in your car and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, we're looking for some solutions. I think this is a step in the right direction. And, you know, hopefully, you know, we'll learn and grow as this ordinance hopefully is implemented, and we'll continue to look out for, you know, what next steps should look like. Thanks.
Councillor Sinks, then Councillor Lowe.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't think any of us were happy at Kipling and Colfax when it was being redesigned, and it's like, what, another one? And then, oh no, every corner has a filling station. So my question to staff would be, what if if this ordinance were passed and one of the stations changed companies? That's okay, right? That would be allowed. Is that correct?
Yes, if a station were to go away and it went from company A to company B, that would be okay to do.
And then how about, however, if company A went bankrupt or something? What would this ordinance do under that situation?
As long as it's changing entities, you could have one entity go in and occupy the space. As soon as you start to modify the physical space, depending on the percentage that you do that, then could eliminate a fueling station from a current location. Like if you did a total scrape and rebuild, you'd have to comply with the provisions of this ordinance. If it was changing from blue brand to red brand, you could do that. They would have to get sign permits and things like that, but you could switch companies.
Great, thank you.
Councillor Lowe.
Thank you. Just one follow-up question for staff on that front. Can you just confirm that this ordinance doesn't apply to your point, to existing gas stations? It doesn't, you know, if an existing gas station is tighter than the current radius in the ordinance, they don't have to relocate or change. And any developer that already is developing a gas station that already has a new build in process, this ordinance doesn't apply to them. It just applies to anyone that sort of comes along and hasn't started the process of the permit process, correct?
Correct. If council were to adopt this evening, after the effective date, anything that were to come in as a new build, the ordinance would apply from then moving forward.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, to Councilor LeBure made the point, we've got either 53 or 55 gas stations in Lakewood. That's quite a few gas stations. I've heard a lot about this from my constituents as well. I did some very, very quick research on the fly, and I mean, it struck me that Boulder was mentioned in the public comment. The cost of living in Boulder is 20 to 30% higher than the state national average for everything, including housing and lots of other things. And that's because land is more expensive in Boulder for many, many reasons. And that would also, presumably based on economics, sort of apply to gas stations. So I don't want to say that that's had no effect, but it seems to me that the price of gas being higher in Boulder is sort of consistent with the price of everything being higher in Boulder. I'm enthusiastic about voting for this. I think that this is important as we, hopefully continue a shift in Denver, in Lakewood, in Colorado, nationally, toward gradually more electric vehicles. I think that this is a really well-timed ordinance. And I really want to thank Councilor LeBure for his leadership and pushing this forward and getting this to us today on second reading. I'm excited to vote for it. I've seen universally, I dare say, a positive response from constituents when this has come up in ward meetings and such, which I can't say about very many ordinances. So thank you for your work, Councilor LeBure, and looking forward to voting for this.
Councilor Ryan, then Councilor Cruz.
I'll just echo the comments that thank you very much for your leadership on this issue. I have no idea whether 55 or some other number of gas stations is an appropriate number in Lakewood, and I will never pretend to know whether that is accurate or not. What I will say is that this seems to be a very reasonable effort to try and move forward some of the problems that we have. The poster child is Kipling and Colfax, and trying to avoid another one of those types of situations. To the extent that we see that there's some unintended consequences or this isn't working quite the way we want it to work, then it behooves us to revisit this. Because I don't think that we should be the ones to decide how many gas stations come in there. But let's see. I think this is a very reasonable piece. I also hope that our commenter from Quick Trip does not take this as an indictment on Quick Trip. We've seen a lot of great things already from the from the gas station located there. And I hope you'll be great partners with us in the future and buy some of those old gas stations and build something better. So I'm supportive of this, and we'll keep our eye on the ball on this. If this doesn't work quite the way we want it, we'll tinker with it until we get it right.
Councilor Cruz.
Thank you. We'll join the gratitude train for Councilor LeBure in what I think is already an example, as Councilor Ryan was speaking to, of seeing how things go and tinkering with it. I think with the special use permits and other work that had been done on car washes and fueling stations previously, I think that this is an example of the city learning and continuing to be really mindful of aligning our land use with our goals for the city. As my co-councilor spoke to, as so many folks have spoken to, this was a top issue on the doors when I was campaigning, was certainly something that a lot of folks spoke to at our ward meeting, and I've spoken to at many ward meetings over the past year. And so I'm really excited to be able to get to vote on this. I think broadly speaking, for the future of our city, this really aligns with a lot of our sustainability goals, both from thinking about the risks of what remediating land when you have to take out a gas station looks like, but also thinking about encouraging alternative modes of transportation, the harmful effects that both fueling stations and car washes have on the walkability of our neighborhoods. That's true in my neighborhood when a car wash went in just a couple of years ago. So I think that this is a really positive step forward. Also want to thank the Planning Commission for their work on this. And as somebody who is newly the owner of a plug-in hybrid vehicle, the more opportunities for me to charge, the better. So excited for that part of this ordinance as well.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, thank you. It's interesting that these two topics were on the agenda tonight for second reading, because I think both are like long conversations, sort of predating another council that wasn't able to quite solve for this. And so the Colfax and Kipling example that we keep bringing up, I think is an example of when council and the city was really found flat-footed in this experience. And this is really a response to that community frustration where that particular intersection was such a catalyst. I'm going to be supportive of this. It sounds like with all of my peers up here, Ward 1 has the most fuel stations you saw from that map. And while we recognize that we have Colfax Corridor running through it, we do want to invite and see some other businesses coming into that part of Lakewood. I'm really invested, I know, as my peers are, in the revitalization of Colfax, and that's going to look a little bit different than more fueling stations. I'd echo Councilor Ryan's comment. I don't know the math on this, but I got to think we're pretty close to being able to meet the needs of our gas-consuming neighbors. I am part of that 2% that has a fully electric car, but I am looking forward to more infrastructure to help support that. So I just want to thank everybody's work that went into this.
I'll throw in a quick comment. I will be honest that I have challenges with this vote from a impeding business standpoint, but it is something that we have heard back from residents about more gas stations, and sustainability goals have been made clear. And so I feel like, to Councilor Ryan's point, we definitely want to keep an eye on this so that if there are things that we need to tweak, we are being aware of that, we are addressing that, and we are coming up with maybe decisions that could tweak it to be better. But I do, think that putting the environmental impacts at the forefront, when that is some of the things that our residents have been asking to do, is critical with this decision. So although it is a little bit of a challenging yes for me from a business perspective, I do understand the intention behind it, and I'm looking forward to working with council to identify benefits that we have and our challenges that we might need to pick up later down the road. So that is my 2 cents, and with that, I don't have any other hands up. I think we do have a motion on the floor and a second, so with that, we'll go ahead and cast votes. Nystrom's a yes. She's a yes. Okay. And that passes 9 yeses, 0 nays. Okay, well, this is the time in the night that we would open up our second portion of general public comment that is non-agended items. I do not have anyone signed up here. If there's anyone in chambers that has not spoken yet that would like to speak, now is your opportunity. I think we only have 2 of you. So does anybody wish to speak? Okay. All right. We will go ahead then and move on to general business for the evening. And with that, I will hand the floor over to Councilor Lowe.
Right, general business. Thank you, Mayor. This is a hopefully straightforward request. It was suggested to me that it would still be good to route this as a request for council action, so I have done so. There was interest over the last several months in organizing an optional tour for council to go see permanent supportive housing sites in Lakewood and the Denver metro region, permanent supportive housing and the need for permanent supportive housing, and the substantial evidence base behind permanent supportive housing as part of the broad-based solution that we need to prevent and treat our homelessness crisis, has been identified as a council priority. It was identified as a council priority at a retreat. And I found it incredibly helpful to go visit some local permanent supportive housing sites. I've had some very preliminary conversations with a consulting firm that was pivotal in putting together the Solid Ground permanent supportive housing site with Jefferson Center for Mental Health here in Lakewood. Also, the very innovative Sanderson Apartments in Denver, which uses a really cool trauma-informed design. And I really, it's worth going and seeing them because, and hearing from the folks that actually manage that facility about the value that housing provides to unhoused neighbors who are really, dealing with all kinds of very difficult trauma. So, long story short, I think an optional bus tour to go see a couple of these sites would be great, or these folks can set it up for us, but having a vote by council that we can move forward. I think just procedurally would help us get a date. So if council will vote for this, I will be pleased to coordinate with staff if it's possible on a bus and get a date on the books in short order. I'm sure it won't. I think it's literally impossible to find a date that works for everyone, but I will find a date that hopefully will work for council, a lot of folks in council to come. And that's it.
So that, I think, was a motion, correct?
I move that council approve an optional tour of permanent supportive housing facilities.
Second. Okay, and with that, I do have a couple hands up. We'll start with Councilor Mayotte Guerrero and then Councilor Cruz.
I would just like to express my enthusiasm for this. I'm not sure that I feel particularly attached to a bus, but other than that, I think that this is a tremendous idea. I know that one of the things that really helped council and staff as we were learning about movable shelters and as we were learning about emergency weather shelters and all of those kinds of programs, that getting to see them in action has been tremendously helpful. And I think that the hands-on nature, particularly when we're really experimenting with how we as a city can be leading, plugging in, supporting countywide and regional solutions in the housing space and in the mental health space, truly in this regards, and giving people legitimate pathways into a permanently out of homelessness. Truly. And so that I think that this particular model serves a lot of different purposes that align with our values and our goals here in Lakewood and on this council. And so I think that this is a tremendously good idea, and I'm very happy to see it on the agenda, and I'm fully in favor.
Councilor Cruz.
Thank you. I am very enthusiastic about this idea as well, although I will not be participating in a bus, as this is closer to my house than council is to my house. But I think that if people want the bus, that would be great. And if it includes additional sites, then I will be on the bus with you. I think I am really excited since I've heard great feedback, and I know that the Jefferson Center did so much work with the Two Creeks neighborhood in putting this facility together. So I am really excited to see it, and may have already had a preview by then because I will be touring it. But if that shows you how great an idea it is, I'm going to go twice, and I'm really excited about it. So thank you for organizing this.
All right, and seeing no more hands up, we'll go ahead and vote. And that passes 9 yeses and 0 nays. Okay, and I have a last minute, 11th hour addition to our general business this evening. So I am going to read a little bit on this to help everybody understand as we move forward this evening. So pursuant to my authority under policies 1.1 and 5.8 of the Policies and Procedures Manual and Rule 3.4 of Bob's Rules of Order, I'm going to suspend the provisions of Policy 5.9 relating to council action requests. The standard rule for items that you hear in this portion of the agenda is the process we go through as a request for council action, and that occurs outside for any of the requests that occur outside of our annual planning retreat. Once we submit those, they're placed on the agenda for the next regular business meeting, giving us time also to educate ourselves and inform the public on this topic as well. The topic I'm presenting tonight, however, is well known to our city council and is, I would say, time sensitive in nature. So this fall, an ordinance was brought forward to the City Council by a group of residents with the desire to increase parkland dedications that occur with development and redevelopment across our city. In November, City Council had two options. One, we either send it to the voters, or two, we adopt the measure as is. Council at that time chose to adopt the measure. while also noting concerns about the legality of some of the provisions. The reason that I'm bringing this forward tonight is not about that. If you'd like to learn more about why council voted and what everybody thought, I would encourage you to look at the meeting that we held on November 4th. It gives a lot more background and information about this particular ordinance. That is available on lakewoodspeaks.org, or you can also find that meeting on YouTube. The reason I'm actually bringing this forward tonight is that we fast forward to today. This ordinance has now been in place since December 7th, and so for a little bit over a month, and we are hearing every day from several residents every day about how this new ordinance is adversely impacting their project or getting them to a place where their project is completely untenable. No residential building permits have been issued since that date the ordinance went in place. There are instances where single-family homeowners are now being required to dedicate part of the landscaping in their own yards, or other instances where owners of property are considering no longer occupying their own unit and instead converting it into a transient hotel that gets them away from these residential rules. So I'm coming to all of you tonight to open up the conversation for some time-sensitive conversations with potential adjustments to the ordinance. Therefore, I am coming to you asking for consensus to direct staff to bring forward a draft ordinance for first reading on January 27th with a second reading on February 10th regarding possible amendments to Ordinance 24-28. And I want to be really clear, I am not asking city staff to make any amendments or any revisions. And no one, I believe, we don't have specific amendments that we're necessarily talking about, but we simply need to understand what is coming to our city now from the people that are trying to develop and or rebuild homes on spaces so that we can be doing the right thing for our residents. I do believe that many of the people that signed the petition that led to this ordinance, and probably even the circulators, did not realize some of the unintended consequences and the harm that we are now seeing imposed upon some of the residents across our city. So with that, I'll go back to my first sentence on that paragraph. I am here tonight to seek consensus to direct staff to bring a draft ordinance forward for first reading on January 7th, with a second reading to be scheduled for February 10th. So I will stop there. And do we have any council questions? Well, I guess I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor Mayotte Guerrero.
Thank you very much. I think that was incredibly well put, and I want to echo a level of support and the urgency and the reason that it does make sense for this to be a moment to suspend the rules as you are choosing to do. Ward 2 is where a lot of new development is happening, and it is also where we have the least amount of parks per acre, and it is where we have, sometimes it is a frustrating long time, but it is also where we have been able to benefit from some of the fee and lieu structure. Not to say that it is perfect. I think we can take this opportunity to recognize that the public are reasonably frustrated with our current systems, and thinking about how to balance the community needs of housing and the community needs of green space and connectivity, walkability, and all of these things do fit together. But we have several large undeveloped plots that are in some level of process relatively early in Ward 2 that I have not heard from any constituent within the district that they do not wish to see that become some type of housing in addition to other uses. So there are proposals and discussions happening around if they end up being mixed use, if there's business, if there's a courtyard, if there's a park. And that's all really great, but we can't possibly have any of those community amenities without also allowing those processes to move. And so I have heard since December a real outpouring from a variety of voices in my district, people who are very pro-growth and very pro-affordable housing, people who are just very development and business-minded, people who often are reticent and nervous of the rate of growth, who have come to me actually opposing a lot of my pro-affordable housing development measures because they are wanting to preserve the nature of Lakewood and of Ward 2. And even those folks have said, this is not what we were hoping that this would do, and I am feeling frustrated. This was something that came up organically at our Ward 2 committee meeting again. And forgive me for my long-windedness, but I just do believe that this is such a really critical issue to understand the importance and to understand that you can be a person with a tremendous range or variety of ideological desires, of motivating values, but to recognize that what is happening currently is this absolute standstill that will not actually result in more parkland either. And so whatever your motivation and your impetus is, I believe that the way that this was written is going to result in a level of cost to the people of Lakewood and to the community that is really irresponsible for us to allow to continue. And so I thank you for your leadership on trying to figure out how to solve this problem. I recognize that this will take some time and some bites at the apple. I do want to again assure the folks who were involved in that yes, your frustration is duly noted, and this will in fact then lead to additional conversation and discussion. But this is, we cannot continue to let this stand. It would be irresponsible governance to do so for a myriad of reasons. And with that, I will yield, but I do thank you, and I'm very in favor of us taking on this urgent issue in this way.
Councillor Sinks and Councillor Cruz.
Thank you. I also congratulate you on your responsiveness to the citizens that are facing some very strange parameters. So I'm excited to see how this goes. I just need some clarification. We've referred to the rules being suspended. Would you talk more about that? In other words, I believe it's a time frame.
Yeah, to be clear, the rules that we are suspending are for our meeting structure tonight. We are not suspending anything that relates to the actual ordinance. We are just asking to bring forward the opportunity to discuss the ordinance.
Got it. And again, a draft ordinance is coming. Is that in addition to the ordinance that was approved? Will it supplant the ordinance that was approved? I don't
We would be
understand.
looking at the ordinance exactly as it is today, and then we would be going through that and able to decide where we are hearing that there may need to be a need to address modifications.
So amending the ordinance that was there, not a completely different ordinance. Is that
Nope.
correct? Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Cruz, then Councillor LeBeer.
Thank you. And also want to commend your leadership on bringing this forward and think that the suspension of the rules is appropriate given the time-sensitive and really serious nature of how this ordinance is currently impacting our city. I think, too, so just to clarify or maybe speak to what Councillor Sinks was alluding to, it being brought on first reading will just initiate the process, and then the ordinance as is, we will be able to go through kind of as we did tonight with some ordinances, amending it in a way that has a public forum and people will be able to see, and that will be kind of how we move this forward at the timeline that you established, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. And so I think that will be a really welcome opportunity for different stakeholders across the city to continue conversation about this ordinance. And I just personally want to signal an interest, particularly in affordable housing. We've heard from Metro West, we've heard from Archway, from the affordable developers in our city, how this is really impacting our ability to bring desperately needed units in a really kind of timely fashion. And so just wanted to signal that that's going to be a real point of interest for me in this process as we move it forward. And I'm sure it will be for other folks as well.
Councillor LeBeer.
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to thank Councilwoman Sinks for asking the questions that I was going to ask. So, but Yeah, my question was really just geared towards how are you envisioning this? What are we talking about? We're talking about kind of looking at what's on the books and having staff kind of point out where some of the words are sort of helping, tee up certain issues, it sounds like.
We will be able to very soon have some real life stories about what's going on within our planning department, and so that we all can, and the community can understand some of, I think, the very unintended consequences with this ordinance. So it won't be just a matter of looking at the ordinance, but what we're going to be able to hear is also what's going on across our community and the feedback that we are receiving.
Got it. Well, thank you for that. No doubt that there's going to be a lot of perspectives and opinions on this from a lot of different sides. And I know I've certainly voiced to the mayor and other members of council that we're getting emails, and we should be having this discussion, the good, bad, and the ugly, about where we go forward one way or another. So I think it has to be had. Another thing I would just comment on, if there are discussions about potential changes or amendments or whatever that, whatever this might come out of this conversation, I think we should be prepared potentially to be looking at executive session discussions if legal questions come up, because I imagine there's a number of legal questions that could arise from any discussion related to that ordinance. So I just wanted to tee that up as something we should be thinking about. And obviously, I know our rules allow for immediate executive sessions to happen on the fly, so we might just consider that, or consider being prepared for that. Thanks.
Councillor Lowe, then Councillor Sharzai.
Thank you. I think a lot of the other councilors have asked just procedurally my questions on this, but let me, just to be crystal clear, since this is clearly a matter of some interest to the public. So if we vote to move forward tonight, we're calling up the ordinance for first reading and then for second reading, but staff are not going to proactively draft any changes or amendments. And therefore, to the extent that amendments are to be offered, it would be incumbent on members of council to proactively draft those amendments and work with the city attorney's office, presumably, to draft those amendments and circulate them. That's sort of procedurally what we're looking at over the next month.
Correct.
Okay, now that's very helpful. And so for folks who are looking at this later, again, it's not that staff are going to be drafting changes to this. The ordinance will come in front of us, and then there will be, it sounds like, a discussion about potential amendments to the ordinance. And at the risk of borrowing trouble, Ms. McKinney-Brown, I guess I just want to confirm procedurally, we are able to call up an ordinance that has been passed and sort of bring it back for first reading without changes to that ordinance on first reading and go from there with respect to council amendments?
Yeah, this is unusual, but nothing illegal. The only way to amend an ordinance is by another ordinance. So if the city council wants to work quickly, you have to work through an ordinance. If the city council, and again, these are your choices. If the city council believes they have plenty of time to workshop this and think their way through it, then you can start from a less intensive jumping off place. But based on what the mayor was saying, it sounds like you're starting really close to the end so that you can move more quickly. So you're not doing anything illegal, but it is very unusual that we would do it this way. And I think it's the other thing is it's leaving staff out of it, because the issues, staff is more than willing to give insight, but this isn't about staff's issues about the community, it's about yours.
Okay. Great. I'm going to vote for this. I think it's a good idea to move forward. I do want to signal for my colleagues that this is obviously of sufficient public concern that I think we really owe it to council and the mayor and the public and the city to signal amendments that are going to be offered well in advance. I mean, right? And if we're dealing with amendments like the day of, I think we need to already be thinking potentially about a third reading. I mean, this is obviously a matter of real public concern, so we're going to want to give folks multiple opportunities to weigh in on substantive amendments to this with open hearings over the next several meetings. And I think I just want to signal that I think that's going to be very important given how public this debate has been and the real public interest in this. I will just add, I don't think this will be a surprise to anyone on this dais. I made the point when this came in front of us in November that one of my many concerns, in addition to the legal concerns that were substantially aired, is that we were going to be throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That we were not only not going to get any new housing, we also were going to get no new open space, because the ordinance was basically set up in a way that made it extremely difficult to do either. And I do think some of the feedback that we're hearing from the public is suggestive of that fact, that it's not achieving the goals that its authors intended, which is why I have heard sort of a growing chorus from folks in the community, including folks that originally supported this, that they are indicating that some changes to this are going to be needed or should be looked at because of some very concerning unintended consequences that are stemming from the way that this ordinance was drafted. So I think this is a really good idea to do, and given how many folks are affected, I don't think that we can. I think even waiting several months for like the zoning rewrite is potentially problematic. So I'm supportive of moving forward. I promised one constituent I would raise this. I am going to apologize while I reference my original marks from November. I made a math error, and Miss Marianne Nagel caught it, so thank you, Marianne Nagel. She made the point that if you look at a density factor of about 25 units per acre, I said that 40% of the land would be dedicated. What I neglected is there's an iterative mathematical process where as you dedicate more and more land, the density factor drops, which in turn means that you have to dedicate less land until you reach an equilibrium from those two countervailing factors, which probably made absolutely no sense. But the point is, as you set aside land, the density factor goes down, which means you need to set aside less land. So for townhouses, which have an average density factor of 25 units, I said setting aside 40% of the land, it's closer to 28%. For a density factor of 50 or 65 units, I said you'd have to dedicate 100% of the land. You don't have to dedicate 100% of the land. You have to dedicate between 50 and 65% of the land. The broader substantive point stands, which is that the amount of land that's being dedicated under any of those densities is prohibitive to development or redevelopment, which both prevents the offering of, which makes it impossible to get new open space, which is the goal of the original ordinance, and also has the effect of shutting down housing. But I did want to acknowledge, thank you, Marianne, if you're listening or if you're listening to this later, you're right. You caught a math error, and I appreciate it, and I wanted to set the record straight. And the point stands. The ordinance is set up in a way that that requires a prohibitive amount of land dedication at a number of different density factors, as we heard from the public tonight, and I think it's very good that we're looking at this.
Mayor Pro Tem Sharizai, then Councillor Nystrom, and then Councillor Ryan.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the leadership. I think this is requiring, this is different times. We're navigating something, and then if you go back to the previous items that we talked about, adoption of second reading ordinances tonight, I think we're on the opposite end of that spectrum. So we are trying to solve for things that we're realizing are problematic very quickly because they're having a tremendous impact on everyday humans. This is outside of the developers that I think the drafters of this ordinance were trying to ward off. I would point out too that we've heard a lot in some of the rebuttals around the work that's happening in implementing this ordinance, that this is about reduction in density. And really it was touted at those trailheads when they were securing signatures, and at the libraries when they were telling people it was about increasing parkland. And so what we're seeing is really this is a sort of bait and switch from the community, and there's unintended consequences that we have to be responsive to. And so I appreciate the leadership of the mayor and the willingness of my co-councilors in having this conversation earlier than we originally thought. We were hoping that some of this could have been solved a little bit quickly, but when you look at the list from December 7th of projects that are just at a standstill, and hearing from some of the authors and supporters of this that obviously that's not what we intended when we wrote this, like we have to move past that sort of interpretation and just cleaning this up. I I do appreciate, to Ms. McKinney Brown's point earlier, some of this timeline would reduce the politicization of staff's involvement. So by reducing this and having City Council being really taking a front seat in that amendment process, we can see what those efforts are and be able to receive public input over the next 4 weeks as we get this on the schedule. Just a reminder, in policies, third reading is always available to us. We did make that more obvious in that process where we updated those policies and procedures. And so if we get to that place, and I imagine we probably will, that is always available to us. So, we are going to hear on the other side of tonight that we're doing this quickly and trying to do this quietly, but we are giving every opportunity for public input and simultaneously hearing from constituents. I know I am. It sounds like others are as well. This has to be amended. The unintended consequences are too much for us to continue to absorb with, wringing our hands in the corner waiting for some solutions to come down. So appreciate that responsiveness. And that's it for me.
Councillor Nystrom.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, I'm not feeling very well this evening, but I just wanted to add that I will be forwarding some information. I think we need a clarification on how this has been applied and interpreted by the staff. The other aspect of this is not just the parkland dedication, it's the fee in lieu process or lack thereof that we've been hearing to, and that is a major issue. So I will provide that information, but there are inconsistencies and, in my opinion, inaccuracies around the way this has been applied. So I would hope that my colleagues would not lose sight of that and that we enter into this process with an open mind. I have heard a lot of feedback as well. I've also seen, emails and requests that have come out, and they're not all negative. It is a concern about what exactly we are doing now that we didn't do in the past and how this has been applied. So let's not, put the cart before the horse here. Let's have an open-minded discussion about this process and what we can do to make it better. I would have hoped we would have gotten in front of this months ago, but we are where we are, so let's make it productive and let's make sure that we don't lose sight of the fact that this has been an ongoing issue for more than a decade, and there's a lot of concern about it.
Councillor Ryan.
I love we have such a great city council. Councilor Cruz asked all the questions that initially came to my mind, and then I was going to make I was like, I still have the one point about the third reading because I'm not entirely clear that we're going to get there that quickly, and so that's been made. I am a little bit interested in how we're going to receive that information about additional things. I mean, all of us are certainly getting feedback from our constituents and from folks who aren't our constituents. Is there going to be a presentation at the first reading or at some other place where we can hear from staff as to some of the issues that are coming to mind that we may not be aware of?
If this passes tonight, that will need to be decided on what exactly the data is that we need to see.
Okay. To Councillor Nystrom's point, I mean, I'm not, as I sit here, bless you, I'm not certain what I'm comfortable amending and what I'm not, and what I am comfortable amending at this point, and I really would like more information from the city, and obviously ready to learn from everyone else too before we tackle this very important issue.
All right, and that's all the hands I have up. So with that, a vote yes would be to bring it forward for first reading on January 27th with second reading on February 10th. Yes. And that passes 9 yeses and 0 nays. All right, thank you, everybody. We have gone through the thick of our voting this evening, and we will now transition over to ward reports. And with that, why don't I switch things up and we'll start with Ward 3 tonight.
The second you said switch things up, I thought, uh-oh. And I can't even look over across the dais and sort of let Councilor Stewart go first. Very sad for me. Well, my update will be very short. We are having a Ward 3 meeting at Sunrise Sunset at 1451 South Wadsworth Boulevard, Highway 121, at Sunrise Sunset in the reserved room and back, 9:30 to 10:30 a.m., 9:30 to 10:30 a.m., Saturday, January 18th. It may be negative 10 degrees at that time, but this was scheduled 2 weeks ago, and that's what we're doing. We don't want to change it now, so bundle up, wear 5 or 6 or 7 layers. I will see you at Sunrise Sunset as long as they don't close, which hopefully they won't, at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday the 18th, which is that this Saturday? Yeah, that's this Saturday. Ward 3 meeting, see you there.
Ward 2.
Great. I'll go. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry, and thank you all for dealing with my coughing fit. I think my daily allergy pill wore off in the last 15 minutes is what happened. Our Ward 2 updates. I will start with saying I mentioned it actually a couple of times on agenda items this evening that we had a really robust and helpful community ward meeting this Saturday at the Minton Seraph. And I feel like I came away with, as always, a lot of energy from community on various topics. And I just want to plug that our next one will be the second Saturday in February. We are doing our best to do second Saturday afternoons as consistently as possible. We have had a couple of folks reach out for additional times to meet and to have communications, folks that had an easier time making the previously scheduled Wednesday evenings. And so I think we will work on scattering in some office hours or other smaller community meetings to make that more robust. But overall, second Saturday in the afternoon is when you can look for us. The next thing that I will just take my Ward 2 point of privilege on is to say that the Housing Policy Commission meetings, I know this is not a committee update, are on the third Thursdays of every month. And so that is a space where second Thursdays of every month, thank you, Roger, same week as the ward meetings. The second Thursdays of every month, we're trying our best to be consistent with that. We may occasionally need to reschedule due to committee members' schedules, but that consistency is with the hopes that as we continue to talk about large items that folks are interested in, it is easy for you to find us. The Two Creeks Neighborhood Association meetings have been changed. They have for, I believe, many decades been on Saturdays at 8:30 in the morning once a month, and they are now going to be on Tuesdays in the evening. The first one of those is actually this week, tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m. at the Mount Air Church. And I believe with that, I can turn it. Oh, I think one more thing. One of our latest theaters, Flamboyant, has completed their seasonal auditions. They have some of their shows' upcoming calendar already up, and it is also a community rental space. They're willing to try to cut deals with folks who are local or smaller or nonprofit, but overall are really trying to be a usable, welcoming space. And so they have a schedule of all of the times that are available for large party rentals and meeting rentals posted to their various internet sites, Facebook and Instagram being some of them.
Thank you. I will just add on a quick congratulations to Sustainable Morse Park on their successful Christmas tree recycling event. They got over 63 trees at that event, and so keep them in mind, all Ward 2 folks, for next year. They are not taking them anymore, so if you still have your tree up, sorry, but think about it for next year. Additionally, to the Two Creeks meeting, we're also excited about the O'Kane Park quarterly meeting that will be the January 22nd at 6:30 p.m. at the Washington Heights Arts Center. So lots of exciting engagement opportunities in Ward 2 in these next couple weeks. Hope to see you there.
Ward 1.
Thank you. contrary to a public comment that we heard tonight, there's no requirement in the charter that councilors hold ward meetings. We don't have to do it, but we all do because we're connected to the community, and so we all do it. We can't please all the people all the time. So we heard also another public comment of one person that I met with during office hours last October, and she was very appreciative of that time that we spent. So ward meetings are great, and yet they might not always happen. So for example, here's a shout out to Holy Shepherd Lutheran Church. We've worked with them in previous years, and so I've worked this year, and we have ward meetings scheduled February, March, April, May, June, July. We typically celebrate 4th of July and don't have any meetings. But so anyway, Holy Shepherd is very wonderful to let the community come in and use their space. However, of course, their church members have first priority, as happened maybe twice last year, that unfortunately one of their family members had a death, and so they had funeral service on that Saturday morning and bumped us. Understandable. And so then Councilor Sherazai and I, we punted, we held a different place or different time or something like that. So that's what we face, that, you know, we have things scheduled and yet it doesn't always happen. So the report for last year's ward meeting, that we typically do not have meetings January, July, or December. This January, we are having office hours, much to the chagrin of some people, but oh well. And also last year, in response to some people that said, let's have combined ward meetings, we had 2 months of ward meetings, April and November, 1 month of office hours last year in October, and then 6 months of ward meetings. And so, yes, we're making the effort. It's not required of us to make this effort, but we're making the effort to have a various number of offerings. We will have mini ward meetings this year, and yet we may be bumped or have to punt, or something else might happen, and we do appreciate your understanding when that happens. Thank you.
Ward 5.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, sorry. Jumped the gun.
Appreciate that. That being said, I had great office hours today, wonderful conversations with community members, and made me realize that one thing I wanted to highlight, particular for Ward 1, Phase 4 of the Wadsworth and 6th Avenue project is going to start this year. So Phase 3 is completed, and those were the sound walls on the south part of the intersection, or the exchange. We did hear from community members who live on the north side of 6th Avenue, and they wanted to understand if sound walls would be included. And as of now in Phase 4, they are. So we're excited and grateful for the work with the City of Lakewood and their partnership with CDOT to secure a RAISE grant, which is for infrastructure solely, for $20 million for the project in 2023 to keep us moving forward. I also wanted to note on the CDPHE website, if you search air permit public notice, you'll find that through February 6th, you can make public comment on the rulemaking that impacts Torermo. So this has been a major topic for consideration in Ward 1, as Torermo is located there. And there's been a lot of great work from community members and staying engaged in this to help us get to where we are today. And so you have through February 6th to make public comment and add your voice to that. And that's it for Ward 1.
Ward 5.
Thank you, Mayor. Unlike Ward 1, we're going to have a, no, I'm just kidding. Sorry. Sorry, I had to do it. Low-hanging fruit. Yeah, we're having our ward meeting January 25th, so if you're not up at the X Games in Aspen, I encourage you to come down 9 a.m. to 10:30, January 25th, Westwood Community Church. And if you need a ride up to Aspen after the ward meeting, I am carpooling, so you're welcome to join. And we're looking forward to the meeting. We had a nice winter break. I thank you for indulging us, our Ward 5 folks, and we're looking forward to chatting in a couple weeks here. Thanks.
Councillor Nystrom, did you have an update?
No, thank you.
Okay. Ward 4.
So we will have another ward meeting on January 23rd at 7 o'clock, Green Mountain Rec Center, same place as we've been having them last time. Interesting meetings as always. For folks who are thinking that we should do more on the Metro District piece, fear not. Staff has already agreed to work with us on preparing some model service plans. So this topic is going to continue to go, and stay tied to your seat for the excitement that will abound.
All right. Well, then, mayor's report. It's a little hard when we have two counselors, but then we don't. So thank you, guys. I wanted to send out a huge congratulations to one of our staff members. Dave Appel was chosen recently to receive a 2024 Alberger Community Service and Aging Award from the Colorado Gerontological Society. He manages the reach out office of the city's Clements Center, our city's Clements Center, for older adults. So I want to send a huge thank you to Dave for all of the work that you're doing in that space. I know that that is a critical need and service that our older adults in that area absolutely love. So congratulations on that award, much deserved. And with that, a couple of announcements for community and or city council. Every year we do an annual planning retreat. We call it a goal setting session. Last year, I felt it was important to expand it out beyond just a one-day conversation to a two-day conversation. This year we will have the same thing. However, it will look a little bit differently. It was important to me that we make sure that each and every ward is fully represented. And as you know, we have 2 of our wards that are down as city council at this time. So our annual planning retreat has actually been broken up into 2 different days. And I think community would be interested in knowing both of those. The first day that we have is Friday, January 31st, where we as a council group will be getting together to hear from staff, presentations throughout the day with updates on the goals that we had set last year. So that'll occur on January 31st and will be open to the public. We'll be at the Heritage Center in the classroom. They're not actually right across the hall from the gift center, the gift store, if anybody is familiar with that space. Secondly, after a special election, so let me just sidestep a little bit as a quick reminder for everybody in Ward 3 and Ward 4, you will be voting for a new city councilor. Your election date is March 25th. So keep an eye out in your mailbox in February. And if you have a candidate that calls you or shows up at your door, ask them questions and learn about who those people are, because they are seeking the opportunity to serve you and your interests for the next rest of not all, but most of 2025. So with that being said, we will not have those 2 new counselors in place until after March 25th. So the actual goal setting portion of our annual retreat this year has been moved out so that we can make sure that we have that full representation. So that will take place on Saturday, April 26th. That one will actually be held at, I believe it's Fox Hollow Golf Course, right? Yeah, we're hoping for Fox Hollow, and also to use it as an opportunity for us to spend some time together as a group, especially given the fact that we'll have 2 new members. So for community members that want to have that on your calendar, those are your dates: Friday, January 31st and Saturday, April 26th. Separately, wanted mainly a shout out announcement to City Council that National League of Cities conference that I think all of you have attended at one point in March. The Congressional Congress is open for registration. So for community members, that is a conference that has been well attended by Lakewood City Council. It's our opportunity to join some of our policymakers in Washington to let them know what is important to us and to learn about other federal initiatives and what other cities are doing across our country. So I believe in March, we always have that Monday off because it is so well attended for our city council. So if you've not noticed it in your inbox, I believe everybody may have an email that says open for registration. And another plug for, we will have the CML, Colorado Municipal League, conference in June, which I believe is the one where you really get the most actual content and a lot of networking with some of our other colleagues across the state of Colorado. So that is it for my announcements this evening. And with that, we will go ahead and adjourn. Adjourn. What? We're good? Okay. I am seeing no further business before the City Council. We'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 9:40 p.m.